Hi, everybody. Apologies for the delayed start. We've had load shedding, and we're just hoping that we're going to have good connectivity until the end of the talk. I have with me Advocate Lulu Makapela, who's going to share with us, from a legal perspective, the undeniable risks of use of technology for small businesses. Because she wears so many hats in a professional space, I'm going to ask Lulu to introduce herself so that we can be clear in terms of which hat she's wearing this evening. Welcome, Lulu.
Thank you so much, Elona, and thank you for having me here today. I'm Lulu Makapela, as you have indicated. I'm an advocate, and I've specialized in corporate law, which is basically business law. I'm also part of one of the coaches for the TUT program. So most of the people that are tuning in today, I mean, these are part of the people that we mentor in our program for entrepreneurship. So I've been in the technology space, science space, telecommunications, which is why I believe today this topic is close to my heart, because I love technology, I love science, and I love law.
Yes, yes. So before we go any further, just to give some context, our talk today is focused for the TUT Center for Entrepreneurship Development. We are just giving support to the participants for the program, but it's also open for our other subscribers that are entrepreneurs on different levels of the journey. As a point of departure, we know that not every business person that's on the platform is at the same stage, same industry, or even facing the same challenges. So our topic is going to be broad. We're going to try as much as possible to accommodate different perspectives. Like we've had in the previous weeks, we've had a couple of questions that have been sent to us previously, and we'll try and cover those. And if there's any other questions, comments, just feel free to put them in the comments. So Lulu will start off by giving us, a broad introduction so that we can have a point of departure for our discussion this evening.
Okay. No, thank you, Elona. I just feel that first I should make a disclaimer. Whenever people listen to a lawyer, they think they've already received legal advice. Like you clarified, the purpose of the session today is basically information sharing, meaning not legal advice. So for any specific issues relating to specifically to your business, you still need to consult a legal representative, and that person can be able to go through the specifics, taking into account your business needs. So I just thought it's very important to deal with that. And of course, I think broadly though, and I like that you said it's a happy hour, because what I've experienced in my past life, whenever I come to class and try to discuss legal issues, everybody gets scared. So I think it's it's safe to mention to everybody that this is not meant to be a session where we scare you off, but rather have captivating talks and engagements in terms of what the business is. So maybe as the basis, let me start by I think indicating what is my understanding of what a business is. And I understand particularly a business as to be any effort or activity of individuals, whether to produce or sell goods or services, but for profit. We always say for profit, so we must not forget it. Most importantly, so I think it's also important that I first clarify what an entrepreneur is, because in our program, we focus much more closely on the entrepreneurship. So we look at an entrepreneur as that person who actually sets up a business, which is what I've defined, and taking on financial risks in the hope, again, of what? Of a profit. So we're saying taking on financial risks. That means an entrepreneur, when I look at it, I look at an entrepreneur as a person that is actually having a component of knowing and mitigating for risks. That means an entrepreneur, each and every time, that means in your mind, because you are taking on this task, whatever it is, you have to be prudent at all times on how you are going to mitigate the risk. So when we talk about risks, it could be in financial terms. I know in most MBA classes, everybody focuses on financial risk,
Yeah.
but not focusing on the fact that legal risks, they can actually translate to financial risks. Because if you do not do your things properly, you do not put your structures properly, you can end up, losing a big time in terms of finances for your company. So that is how you assess, your. I think you plan for your financial calculations, your assessments, but most importantly, the choice of the product that you are going to use in your business, how to market it, where to market it, and so on.
Yeah.
So if we are looking at an entrepreneur saying, yes, the biggest component is the risk, then I always say, besides looking at the broader financial, legal, marketing, and all others, actually, the biggest component is how you administer your business. So this is your governance and legal aspects of everything. So this is where we pull things together. And what basically this means is, how are we going to interact with our clients, with our suppliers, with our regulatory authorities or certification bodies? What are the structures to put in place? So all of that, because you must remember your clients might be giving you the most difficult conditions for you, that you would want to focus on looking at the best terms that will be favoring your company. You see, because it's not just, what I mean is the component, it's in different aspects. So basically, when you look at the legal component and the legal aspects, is how you interact with your business, with all the structures in your business, is how you contract and negotiate the different terms and conditions, is how you ensure that your product, whatever product that you have chosen, how it is compliant, let's say, how it is compliant, how it is safe, how it is registered with the respective, let's say, authorities,
Yeah.
whilst at the same time you are ensuring, I think, basically that you are contracting properly. Because I think, because I have so much closeness in terms of contracting, because this is where the business actually negotiate in terms of how you get the best the best outcomes, how you ensure that your products that you get there, is quality products, how you ensure that the raw materials that you use in your business, you get them at a good price, so that you can ensure that there is a good delivery as well. So I think, firstly, though, I know that you always ask me a lot of questions. I like what you
Well,
said
I really want to.
when you started. I like what you said when we started, when you said, when you acknowledge that, the people, the entrepreneurs, both that we have on the program, and probably the people that are actually, joining us live, that, we have to acknowledge that they're at different stages. So,
Yes, definitely.
so it's different stages, but because I don't want to leave everybody behind, so I think, so if you look at yourself as an entrepreneur, of course, you have to think where you are. And for me, I put them in categories to say that those who are still at an idea stage where you are, in which you'll be considering issues like whom or how you are sharing your ideas,
Yeah.
including ensuring that you have some contractual arrangements in place. So by the way, you might know this, the entrepreneurs in our program, I was actually so happy when they gave me a non-disclosure agreement.
Oh,
So it's like,
yes. Yeah. Yes.
I was like, wow, so that means we've really taught you well. So,
Yeah.
because I mean, these are critical, it's
Yeah.
critical that, because sometimes you never know that whom you are sharing things with. Some people are very quick. They're very quick to take ideas and to implement them. So there are a lot of things that you need to consider. So we also have those ones who are, I look at them. So it's the idea. So you have the idea, but you need to start. So we have
Yeah.
those ones that are in the setup stage, meaning in which they have to consider, in the setup, you consider the type of the business that you want to engage in, the structure of the business, even going through the business registration process, so that your business is compliant. And also, I mean, I think basically ensuring that you have all the business registration certification requirements in place, like your certificates of incorporation, your tax, and so on.
Yeah.
So it's the idea, is the setup. So we have those ones that are already, I think, running the business. It's in operation, in which, of course, I think they fall within the category where they have to focus on the administration and the governance issues of the business.
Yeah.
And, we have those ones that are, you're running your business. You have your idea, you've set up. Now you are running and operating very well. And now you need to expand and grow your business. So of course, there are associated risks in terms of, what do you consider, in terms of, for instance, raising funds for your business, the partnerships that you bring on board, the arrangements that you put in place. And for example, maybe let me make an example with the raising of funds. When you raise, you need to consider issues like investors, what types of agreements you need to put in place, what are the terms and conditions. Remember, I'll always go to the terms and conditions which are
Yeah.
favorable for you, because sometimes they can either be favorable or not favorable. Maybe I can say for the entrepreneurs, they must always remember, of course, that sometimes, at these stages, actually at different stages, but I think critically when you are trying to get loans, I think it's because I've seen this many times, loans and loans or investments in your place, you always have to be cognizant of the fact that, sometimes people can put claims against your property. So how do you protect against, any rules, anything that will happen to ensure that your products are protected, and
Protected.
your
Yeah.
property, actually, it's not only property as in personal property. Sometimes even the products, your business itself. Remember, you've built your entire business around a particular model, and now all of a sudden, 2 years down the line, you don't have it because you have not checked what type of guarantees you've put in place, or sureties, or so on. So this is looking at a business and identifying an entrepreneur in terms of at what stage they are. But
Yes.
besides the stages, though, I have to mention, besides the stages and all those, I think the intricacies and legal considerations, I think I should also acknowledge that, whenever an entrepreneur ventures in a startup, there's different, what do you call? We look at a startup there's different primary focus. You have those
Yeah.
ones that focus on innovation, meaning you have a product that you want to develop, And we also have those ones that are focusing, let's say, on general trading, which is basically buying and selling of goods and services. I think our entrepreneurs are more on the general trading. And I remember I had a few that were actually looking at the innovation,
That's
what types of
innovation,
innovation,
yes.
yes, what types of innovations do they exist elsewhere, and so on. So of course, you have to be aware, depending, I think, on whatever you choose, in terms of I think the different requirements for each. So it's the same as, maybe let me make an example with myself. It's the same as for lawyers and accountants. You still need to be certified, you still need to be registered. So there are many other considerations that you have to put in place.
Okay,
So
perhaps if I can.
yeah.
And say if I came to this talk and I said to myself, well, I started my business, I'm selling stuff on Instagram. Why do I need legal advice?
So
I think this introduction has almost told me that every single entrepreneur needs to almost be cognizant that you operate within a context where there's rules, there's legal frameworks, and you need to be aware of what you need to be compliant with and what's the primary focus of your business. So Lulu?
Hi,
I think our
Elona.
network has gone a
You
bit
know,
bad.
for some reason,
You
our
can hear
network,
me.
yes,
I
I
can
could
hear you.
not get, much
Yes.
of
Yeah.
the
Okay.
question. So
All
I
right.
don't know.
Okay. I'll just repeat it now.
Okay, so if you can just repeat it for me.
Yes.
Because there was a bit of a, I don't know, I couldn't hear anything. It was just a long noise on my side. Sorry for that.
Okay, no problem. So we know that we could spend a whole day if we wanted to say, tell us about all the things that are legal in a business. But perhaps maybe you can share with us, now that we've given us the bigger picture of the business, right? What
Yes.
would you consider the biggest challenge for small businesses operating in South Africa right now? Or the biggest thing they need to look out for?
Oh, you know what? Yeah, now I can hear you. Thank you for asking that. Actually, I think maybe before I can clarify that, so for me, I look at a business, for instance, which I think I want everybody to get this as an ecosystem. So an ecosystem, if you look at a business and you break it down, so the first component for me within that ecosystem is the internal environment of your business. This is what we've already discussed, how you run your business and if, the technologies you choose, whether you need to protect your products or not, your processes, your suppliers, where you get your raw materials, your clients and customers that buy your product and services. And in that, from that internal, there is what do you call the other level of a component is your external environment, which is how you comply with the regulations, ensuring that your products are safe and they're certified. they are registered with the right authorities. So an additional level of that component is, which is the third model, is your national and global environment. These are the issues that may happen or never happen. If you look at it, they might have a potential to affect your business. They might not have a potential to affect your business, but they have an element of risk. So they can happen or they cannot happen. So if you look at this, it could be your interest rates, it could be your inflations, it could be, something that happens in the US or India that you think is too far-fetched, only to find out that it can have a potential for your business. So I look at these actually because you are saying what is the challenge right now. So that global one, this is what I call, of course, you don't have, under normal circumstances, we don't plan for them. We know that they are there, they exist, they might come or they might not come, but they might have a huge impact on our business and impact on our business. So they can impact it negatively and sometimes they can impact it positively. So when I look at the biggest challenge right now, we have the biggest challenge, which is COVID-19, which is actually that risk that was so far-fetched that it will never happen. You never thought all of a sudden you will have, your life will be turned upside down. And now all of a sudden, your business has come to a stall. You need to start planning and implementing measures in place. So I actually, when I look at that, I always compare it with the family ecosystem. You have your household, you have a community, and you have the rest of the world. So under normal circumstances in your business, your main business is your family. That means it's your house. You can have all the good structures in place. You plan for money, you plan for, all your internal workings might be in order, but you still depend on the community. So, and then within a community, you might and might not have to worry about what's happening in the rest of South Africa and the rest of the world, but it has an impact on how things happen to you. So, but basically now we are in a state of emergency because that bigger problem that is far, it has now come directly and it's in the house.
Definitely.
You thought it's in the house, it's in your business. We are getting people being laid off, retrenchments, and all sorts of things. Taxis, flights for us to deliver goods. We can no longer get supplies for our raw materials. So basically, when you look at it, the biggest challenge right now, I can say, is the forces. I think it's that outer layer that we said, it might never happen to me. I don't even need to plan for it. But it's already here, it's in front of us. So I don't know what was the rest of your other question.
So basically you've covered that the business will have its internal concerns, but it operates within another broader context. So in December, when COVID-19 started in China, a lot of people thought it's a Chinese thing. But
exactly.
Now there's so many regulations that entrepreneurs have had to think about, adjust to, and they've come to South Africa. Thank you for that. So now so we've said the biggest challenge. What have you said? What do you think is the biggest challenge in general for small businesses in South Africa?
Okay, so for me, I think the biggest challenge is how businesses are actually navigating through this pandemic, because I believe that the silver lining is how small businesses are going to respond. I think the ones that are going to come to be on top is the ones that are able to adapt, able to adopt technologies that are going to enable them to fit and, you know, and drive their business. Adopting technologies to ensure that they continue, so businesses can focus on. So for me, I still believe technology is the biggest thing for businesses to be able to navigate. Yes. Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Seeing as we are on the topic of technology, so some small businesses may have been using one or other forms of technology before the pandemic and the lockdown, but many more have started to adopt different platforms. And so just a question on, now that I've shifted, perhaps I've started selling my stuff online, and I was a face-to-face business, what are the things that we could think we need to consider for a business, let's say a product business that's gone online?
Okay. So I'm glad that you are mentioning the product ones, because of course, whenever we talk of technology, everybody thinks, okay, only inventions. So I think what I can say first, gone are the days where people needed to, let's say, knock from door to door to sell items. Or days where you needed to have a storefront so that you can display your products. Actually, I think when I was on radio, I said this thing. I said, I remember when I was young, I used to watch all these people that used to come and sell us a lot of things, lots of beddings, different products, and they would come and show us the different items, you know, show our parents the different items, and of course leave them to say, yes, you can pay when you have money. But just imagine how those people used to move from one place to another, selling the item, one place to another, one house to another, one township to another. You understand what I mean? So now you can imagine, I think, the time and effort that they had to put to sell clothes, sell items. And of course, we had to sort of put some new adjustments. Now we have adjusted, we had stores, we have everything, I mean, other areas, you go to town and you display. Instead of going from one place to another, people choose to say, okay, everybody comes here. So there's a central place, I can display my products and everybody comes through. But now you can imagine how, I think, how technology can change all that. Because I believe today you can actually achieve all that at an instant, on a click, at a fraction of the time, and probably at the same cost, you know, as you would have had. For instance, when you look at look at people today, everybody has a mobile device with mobile applications. That means actually not only a mobile device, I mean a mobile device in terms of a laptop, a phone, I mean iPad, tablets, all sorts of things. So that means actually it's not even one device. So why can't we use this time to ensure that the technology that we have, we can use it to our benefit? So, and these technologies, they have applications, you know, applications that we can use for our businesses. And I know that you said I must take you through some of the applications, and of course, because this is a very critical component for today. So you know, we have different types of platforms, and with different purposes. We have your social platforms that you can use as a business for marketing, your Facebook, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Instagram, Shopify. You have your professional platforms that we use for meetings, like me and you right now.
Yes.
Actually, I'm remembering something about a meeting, but let me continue. You need your storage platforms in which you store the data and information for your business. Finance platforms in terms of ensuring that your business is running smoothly for invoicing, for payments, for all sorts of
Yeah.
things. We have selling platforms in terms of, because even if you have a product right now, it doesn't mean you have to create your own mini platform. You can
Yeah.
always link up with your Amazons and everybody else to ensure that, your product can be, displayed in there and sold. So I think in a nutshell, those are the different types of platforms. But
Yes.
I must not leave you without emphasizing on these critical points, because we've been talking about suppliers and clients, to say even though we have all of these platforms that we can be able to utilize, there is still all technologies that we cannot run away from.
Yeah.
Transportation, delivery, for instance, which is the biggest nightmare. So that is how as an entrepreneur, how you ensure that your product is moved from one place to another, whether it's through shipping mechanisms. Looking at the fact that now in COVID-19, actually flights are grounded
Yeah.
in most places, that you would easily promise somebody that you'll get it in 2 days. But right now you have to consider to say, oops, that might not be, that might not be the case. So what if, of course, you are using, it's being shipped, and then everybody there has COVID-19 and your items are stuck. So that means you sort of have to ensure that, you have a mechanism to include what we call the force majeure clauses, that can protect you as a business, and also ensure that at least you communicate with your, with your customers, to ensure that during this time, because I always say communication is key. So people
Yeah.
think a solution, people are always looking for complex solutions. So I have this problem and I need legal advice, only to find out that the most simplest advice is, have you communicated with your customer and
Yes,
understood
definitely.
what are their needs? So not everything is going to need, for you to set up, creative, or let's say very complicated structures, but to look at mechanism to help you navigate. And also all technologies, for instance, when you go and collect like card machines, we cannot run away that some people, of course, I still go to shops, I'm still swiping and using the old card machines. And, some clients might say, I don't want to touch any buttons. We're so scared right now, especially
Yes.
with the
Yes.
news.
Yeah.
So how do you ensure that they have, you advise them to ensure that, you have systems, like you have payment machines that actually you can tap and that's it. So I'm just making mention that, you see, especially for shipping and others, that as much as I'm saying, move with the new, there are
Yeah.
other things that you can, that can actually be a stumbling block. And maybe just to explain just a bit, the stumbling block actually on the shipping is even where you get your supplies from. Remember, if you are developing a product, let's say a hair product, for instance, the ingredients that you use, you might be buying them somewhere, meaning you must
Yeah.
be able to get them from somebody
Yeah.
before you can make your own product and actually give it to somebody else. So you need to really consider all of these things to say, my suppliers, are they available? Are they, will they be able to bring the products to me? So once they're with me, will I be able to, when somebody clicks there, like I said, it's click online. Is it
Yeah,
available? Is it possible for it to actually reach the place that it's supposed to reach? So it's all of
definitely.
these
So
things that we have to consider.
if I can just do a follow-up question on that. So if, for example, as a small business, I've started to advertise on the social platforms, on Facebook, or I'm growing this big audience on my Facebook platform or on Instagram, are there any risks on putting my entire business online? Because, you know, there's a risk in a
You know,
store, your landlord could close the physical store.
exactly.
What's the risk when it comes to online and technology
Okay.
platforms?
You know, I'm glad that you have asked that question, because maybe, let me make a disclaimer, because maybe when I made my comment to say there was door to door, I didn't mention that there were risks.
Yes.
even that process of taking your product, remember we said the entire model of an entrepreneur, the
Is a
biggest
risk.
component is risk. So,
Yes.
you know, even there were associated risks. In most instances, remember, you leave your product with somebody to say you'll pay at the end of the month, at a future date, whatever it is. By the time you come back, the person might not be there, and you are unable to collect your money, meaning you must come back again, and you know, and the cycle goes on. So it's same with the business today, that you know there are huge risks associated with the use of technology, and we cannot be blind of those associated risks. You mentioned right now one important point, which is you transfer everything online, and then you know with the hope that everything is going to run smoothly. Unfortunately, I'm not here to say everything is going to be fine.
Yes.
You still need to consider a lot. I think the other day when we had a discussion, you mentioned some of the things that have happened to other people, like somebody actually having a whole business on Facebook, and then all of a sudden, or the group, you've been doing it, let's say for 2 years, it has all your information, your marketing information, and it closed down. So unfortunately, those are the things that you know entrepreneurs have to be cognizant of. But let me just list some quickly so that we don't run out of the time to say. So for me, when I look at actually the categories of risks that you can look at, I look at them into two. There are those risks that are as a result of the business, your business, the business direct undertaking, and sometimes including actions of your employees. And there are those risks that would be associated with third parties. So I look at it in those components. So when I look at the risks that are related to the business direct undertakings, those are your generic IP violations, your trademark violations, for instance, which is when you illegally use somebody else's brand name, domain name, their logo, slogan, and not designs. Not only will this confuse your customers, but it will get you into a lot of trouble. So people, it's easy to find something there, you take it and plug it and move on. Two, if you look at your copyright violations, so similar to the trademark violations, so this is a violation where you illegally use someone else's photographs, like you said, graphics, the music, you know, someone sings very nicely, like I like this, I can my ad. The videos, you know, the content of your videos without permission or authorization for the party consent. And sometimes it's just a mistake. Oh, let me not say it's a mistake. Sometimes you know, in your business, you, like me, we're talking together now, you just take a picture, you feel, oh, it's nice to capture this moment. But it's always, I think, as a business person, good to have, I think, to put measures in place to always ensure that in all instances, that, let's say, the pictures that you use, and they don't violate any person's right of publicity or right of privacy. So sometimes, in most cases, you need a license to make material available for certain uses, including for personal use. So, so sometimes, actually, I need to make this. I've seen scenarios where a picture or an image, it will say it's free. You know, that those ones that are free and those ones
that are free.
So I think, don't get caught up into thinking free means free. I actually always say free doesn't mean
Uh-oh, I think we are losing sound.
saying it's free if you just take it for personal use, but might have some restrictions when it comes to commercial use. So some people, yeah, because you see, personal use is always different. But the minute you're gonna have money, and everybody's gonna come after you to say, oh, you've made money out of this, then I need a cut.
I need a cut from it. Okay.
I need a cut. So always get clearance before you post photographs, videos, even if it's participants at your event. You know, when you do an event or something, you always
Take
assume because you
photos.
have, yes, you always assume because you have a photographer and whatever, let me just use all of these things for my marketing purposes. Please ensure that at least there are forms in place where they acknowledge that as part of the event, they actually give you the permission to use them. So the other one is, of course, personal information. You might have seen in South Africa now, we are talking about the Protection of Personal Information Act. So any information, when you look at now the use of technology, that means you are actually a hub for sensitive customer information. If you're online, that is the biggest hub for a collection of, because the forms that you use, the customer registration, which includes, by the way, your what do you call this, your email addresses, or sometimes your telephone numbers. So the entire checkout process that you put in online. So it's really important that you how you store that information, and how you store it, you ensure that you comply with the relevant legislation. How you collect it, you also collect it in compliance with the relevant legislation. And of course, even also when you keep that information, you always have these stage gates so that people know that actually you are actually taking their information. So this actually,
I just wanted to read out some of our comments and questions.
Okay, cool.
So Claudia says, valuable insights into the legal process of setting up a business and safeguarding your idea, product, and services. That's thank you, Claudia. And then Matthew says he no longer makes use of the contract of employment. Rather, he uses a contract of engagement because he saw flames on the contract of employment. This is interesting. There's so much discussion on contracting. I'd be interested to know what the engagement contract entails.
Actually, have you also heard me when I'm saying arrangement more than contracts.
Yes.
So I always say your contractual arrangements that you put in place, because you know sometimes there is a. I would be interested though to know from Matthew
Yeah.
what is the biggest what is the biggest problem with the contracts of employment. But
Employment.
what I think I understand, as I understand him to mean is, you know, once you fully employ somebody, you have so many responsibilities. So some people look for different ways to say, how do I get the best out of advocate for 1 hour without committing
Yes,
for a
yes.
very long term? So I think that's what it means.
Okay, and then Sihle says she likes that you speak about adaptability in business.
Yeah.
It's very important. So
Okay.
I'm happy our viewers are with us.
Yes. Maybe I must be quick to just finish these things. I think, remember we talked of trademarks, copyright,
Yeah.
for personal information and others, but also the terms and conditions for your social media sites,
Yeah.
because you don't want to violate them. If you violate Facebook, Facebook is going to close you. And that also
Yes.
means the people, you are actually responsible for the people that post on your website.
On your group.
So on your group, you are responsible.
Yeah.
So it's your Twitter, you know, all of these platforms, you are responsible. So the terms and conditions are very critical. You must understand them. You don't want to lose the privilege, because now your business will be just, you know, it will disappear. Also, you don't want to make false leading statements. I always say this to people. It's nice to say, yes, I have this great product and your hair is going to grow up to your knees, but not in 2 weeks, okay? Because
Okay.
the same deception that you are supposed to avoid in the normal trading, please, you cannot make such claims for your products and services. All of that is still applicable whether you are online, because we don't want you to oversell your product. Always give the
Yes.
people the information. Taxes, everybody knows you still need to pay your taxes, because of course SARS is going to come knocking on your door. So I think maybe to go to the other risks that is connected with third parties, everybody, of course, we know that you can be like, there is an issue of fraud and hacking,
Yes.
because whenever you use an online platform, remember people are paying through your platform. They are using their credit card information. Actually, credit card, I tell you, because I just need to give you the numbers. I need to give you the date of the date of expiry and the CVC number. So no PIN is required. So that means it can be used anywhere else. So the same rules that are applicable to banks in terms of protecting, you know,
Yeah.
the customers, you have to ensure that whatever platform that you use, you read the terms and conditions, and they will be favorable, and those conditions are favorable to you. And also those things that relate to some people, under normal circumstances, when you sell a product, you always have to have a return policy to say, yes, you can
Yes.
bring it back. You still need to do it online. But of course, it's a little bit tricky, because you don't know after shipping it what happened. But, you know, all of those things, just consider them. Also, I think,
So are you saying that
yeah.
the no saying no returns online still applies the same way it applies
No,
to a shop?
yes. Actually, the consumer protection laws, they say you must allow for people to return products. So you see, when you go to, let's say, Edgar's to buy clothes,
Yes.
when it doesn't fit,
You can
or
take.
especially online, because I can buy something, the small or large, in South Africa might not be the same in China. I'm making an example. So if I buy something, you need to make room so that I can return it. And
Okay.
I think the other one is, I wanted to mention this, for those ones where the product is not yours. Remember, I said the startups is either you innovate and the other one is buying and selling. So when you are selling products of third-party suppliers, you must be aware that you are still liable for the defects. So
Oh,
if that product does something, you are the one. We know you. We're buying from you alone, and not everybody, not anyone else. So
okay.
if I sell you and it doesn't work, so which is why it's critical how you negotiate where you buy your products. Is it quality products? Are they safe products? So sometimes I develop a product because sometimes if it's a hair product, for instance, um, you would say, nope, somebody else would manufacture and put it together. And then for me, I'm only responsible to sell it. So
To
if
sell it, yeah.
something wrong, yes, if something wrong happens, you are still liable, even if you are not the manufacturer.
Okay.
So, and you might end up spending a lot of money on legal fees defending your business in a lawsuit because you remember, actually, I've seen it with sanitizers, number one. I don't know if the stories are true online. If you have seen, there are people who have, because there are all these rules that the sanitizers, they must be certified, they must get the licenses, they must be approved. I've seen people actually with blisters showing that, they're
Yes.
actually having a reaction. Just imagine that it's you are buying a sanitizer from, and reselling. It's important that you look for, I think, for manufacturers that are compliant, that are certified, and probably the ones that are using organic products as well, so that you consider everything. And the other potential liability, by the way, is hacking. Hacking, everybody knows, if you are hacked, you are offline, you are down, nobody can
Yeah.
access you, people think their money is gone. Still, in any eventuality, make sure that your customers, the public is aware of whatever is happening at all stages.
Definitely. So basically, even if I'm in the business of buying and selling and I'm not making anything and I'm not involved in product development, I still
Yes,
need to be aware of the risks to
yes,
do it.
you have.
So what about if somebody is running an online store and has products from various suppliers? Does this still apply?
It still applies. You see,
Okay.
when I was saying, in a business model, the internal runnings, which is your supplier, your process, and your clients, is important, because
Okay.
your supplier is the one that gives you your raw materials if you are building a product, but it's also the one where you are purchasing, where you are getting the product. If you are reselling, you are buying
Okay.
and reselling.
Yes.
So you have, that's why you have to, as a business, as an entrepreneur, you have to, what can I say? You have to develop a relationship with your suppliers, make sure that you consider the what do you call, um, you consider the difference. You see, because when you put a business, like I was saying, the business itself must be certified. There's all these things that it must go through.
Yeah.
It's still your responsibility to ensure that that business, wherever you are buying things from, it's quality products they can actually produce to you, to say, yes, our products are certified. You check, sometimes there are always labels that
Yes.
most people just spend little time on them, where certain things needs to be disclosed, certain disclosures and all of those things. So you just have to spend time to understand the products that you are selling, maybe test them yourself again before, you make sure so that you can confirm on your own that they are actually safe.
Okay. So that is really important because I think a lot of small businesses are in buying and selling.
Yes.
Where entrepreneurs are doing small businesses within their professions, it's a service business. We know obviously you already have a professional code. But what do I need to consider if I take my service online as well? And I think even the trademarks, the pic applies, even if you are not selling products. Am I correct?
Yes. Actually, I mean, you know, it's important that, of course, even when it is a service, and a service, it's so broad. Actually, some people, they are even offering, for instance, online courses.
Yeah.
Others are offering secretarial services where I say I'm going to type for you and do all sorts of things. So it is very critical that, you know, even though we have addressed I actually look at the service ones as the ones that it has become a less risky than when you are actually selling a product, let's say in the time of COVID-19, because you might
Okay.
remember that now the service has, you know, gone up, you know,
Yes.
because, you know, now we can offer courses online, you know. The ICT industry has also gone up because now we are using data, we are safe, we are at home. So, but the things for me that I can always say, I think it applies not only to the but to all businesses. You must ensure that, for instance, if you are a retailer, you have to outline clear terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Disclose the price. You have to disclose it, and you have to also include the shipping costs. That is the same even if it's with your service. How much is it going to cost? What's the price? You know,
Yeah.
of course, you don't have to sometimes to deal with the shipping component. You also, I think, because you are online, you have a policy on how you undertake your digital communication and how you handle your social media. You need terms of use and rules for users who post and upload, because even if you are in the service industry, because you are displaying everything there, you might be creating a platform for certain people. So you have to you have to monitor regularly, and your online and social media sites. You have
Yeah.
to remove inappropriate and unlawful content. Remember,
Yes.
everybody now is free to say whatever they want to say. If there are any, let's say, online filters that are I'm thinking now about, if things they needs to be aged, to be considered, make sure that you put those filters so that, you
Yeah.
know, the right age of the people are the one that are part of your business. You also, I think, need to what do you call, review, of course, I think regularly, I think your content, and make sure that you obtain your clearances, like your copyright clearances, so that
Okay.
you can
So
ensure that you can continuously, because my challenge is sometimes even if you are in the service, you might be gone tomorrow if you violate any of the risks that we had identified earlier. Are you there?
I am there. Can you just come again? You said we lost you there for a minute.
Oh, okay. I was saying you also need to have a continuity plan in place so that you can avoid any disruptions. This also means having one or more platforms for your business. So, you know, the same way we do backup, we also say you must always have a backup plan. So you might have a website and an app and a Facebook page and, you know, all of these accounts. But one thing though that I wanted to mention, which I have found to be, peculiar, is, you know, how we ignore, I think, even as businesses, the social media and what's happening. And the fact that, you know, something can happen this year and you have a lawsuit in 3 years' time. So whenever you delete or remove or whatever you do, just keep the records, because you don't know where you might need information, where if somebody might come to you to say this is what happened when. So those are the, I think, nuances that you have to consider, I mean, when you are in the technology space.
Okay, so unfortunately our time is up. I think at this stage we'll ask for any closing remarks for anybody that came here. If they forget everything else, what would you like them to remember?
Okay, so I think the most important thing is, of course, they understand the stages that they're on in terms of business and the legal risks. They must remember that entrepreneurship and them as as entrepreneurs, they have a responsibility, and they carry the risks that they need to mitigate, so they must not forget. So each time they think of something, think of product, they must think risk, think of service, risk, goods, risk. Also, they must also know that, you know, when we talk legal risks, we are not, I mean, they might think right now that legal risks are not associated with any financial implications, but unfortunately, they might have huge consequences for the business, especially if you want to survive as an entrepreneur for a very long time. And I think, you know, the other thing is understanding now that we are, I think I also want to say, most people that are going to survive are the people that are willing to adapt and adopt new technologies, meaning you can change. You have, it might be tough right now, but look for ways. You could be wanting to develop an application or an app, whatever it is, but it's never too late to learn something new. I mean, this is an opportunity for us to actually rise above what we are used to, get out of our comfort zone. And also understanding that as much as we are saying move towards technology, embrace technology, there are more opportunities in you even getting a wider and bigger audience, selling not only to South Africa, but to the rest of the world.
Global, yes.
You know, and actually that's a big opportunity, because under normal circumstances, the entrepreneurs, they might agree with me that it's not the people that are close to you that are going to be buying your service or a product. But it's normally it's normally the people that you meet on the street. And I think lastly, that with the use of technology, there's a responsibility. You must always look for, you must always understand that there are legal considerations that you have to take into account. So be it on social media, be it in the professional platforms, be it in the payment platforms that you use, you have a responsibility to ensure that you monitor regularly everything that is happening, to ensure that you have proper steps to protect the information, protect the business, and protect your trade secrets, so that, you know, everything is running smoothly.
Awesome. Thank you. I think to the entrepreneurs, the first thing we can do is go and check all terms and conditions for all the platforms that you're on. Start to do your research. Before we click on, I agree, I accept. Now you've made us think twice. Just what is it that you're accepting and what is it that you're agreeing to? Thank you so very much, Advocate Lulu. We will be having a part 2 sometime later in the year, I think in August. And we'll unpack even more specific scenarios. But I just want to take time to thank you for all the work that you're already doing for the TUT Center for Entrepreneurship Development and other entrepreneurs in Africa and globally. We really value your input and look forward to learning from you in future. Thank you. And thank you everybody that's joined us this evening.